Arsenal believed Morgan Rogers was theirs to lose. They had followed him for months, studied how he could fit into their attack, and reportedly established direct contact through Mikel Arteta. By the time the transfer window approached, Rogers was no longer simply one name on a long recruitment list. He had become Arsenal's leading attacking target. But there was one major problem. Arsenal had not agreed a fee with Aston Villa. While Arsenal were preparing to make their move, Chelsea made theirs. What began as serious interest quickly became a formal approach. That approach became an enormous offer, and within approximately 72 hours, Chelsea had reportedly agreed a package worth £117 million. Months of Arsenal groundwork appeared to disappear in 3 days. So how did Arsenal spend so long positioning themselves to sign Morgan Rogers, only for Chelsea to take control of the deal almost immediately? The answer is not simply that Chelsea offered more money. It involves Arsenal's confidence, Aston Villa's leverage, Chelsea's urgency, and a career decision Rogers was reportedly asked to make at remarkable speed. Arsenal built the relationship. Chelsea created certainty. Before understanding why two of England's biggest clubs were prepared to fight over Morgan Rogers, it is important to understand the journey that brought him to this point. Rogers was considered a major talent from a young age. He developed at West Bromwich Albion before moving into Manchester City's academy, where he joined one of the most competitive youth systems in European football. The ability was obvious, but the pathway into City's first team was far less certain. Like many talented young players, Rogers was forced to build his career away from the club that developed him. Loan spells at Lincoln City, Bournemouth, and Blackpool gave him experience, but they did not immediately transform him into an established Premier League player. He was still searching for the right environment, the right coach, and the right opportunity. That opportunity began to arrive at Middlesbrough. A permanent move gave Rogers the chance to play regularly, take responsibility, and show that he could influence senior matches. Aston Villa then saw more than a promising championship attacker. They saw a player with the physical power, technical confidence, and positional intelligence to develop at the highest level. Under Unai Emery, Rogers began to change. He became more decisive, more aggressive, and more comfortable carrying the ball into dangerous areas. He was no longer simply a young player with potential. He became a powerful Premier League attacker capable of operating from the left, as a number 10 behind a striker, or as a driving midfielder moving through the centre. His value comes from the way he changes the speed of an attack. Rogers can receive the ball under pressure, turn toward goal, and carry defenders with him. He can transform a controlled possession sequence into an immediate threat. He gives teams something that cannot always be created through passing alone: forward momentum. For Rogers, the rise was deeply personal. He had once been another gifted academy player trying to find somewhere he truly belonged. After loans, transfers, and uncertainty, he had finally become the player elite clubs were prepared to fight over. And Arsenal believed he could become the missing piece in their attack. Arsenal appeared to have every reason to feel confident. Their interest in Rogers was not sudden. They had followed his development, identified him as a priority, and reportedly communicated their admiration directly. Arteta was said to have spoken with the player, helping Arsenal establish a relationship before formal negotiations with Aston Villa had begun. Tactically, the attraction made sense. Arsenal had become one of the strongest teams in England, but their attack could occasionally become predictable. Much of their most dangerous football developed down the right side, where combinations, movement, and creativity often flowed through the same areas. Rogers could have changed that balance. Starting from the left, he would not have been expected to remain close to the touchline like a traditional winger. He could move inside, receive between the lines, and attack the spaces between the fullback, centre-back, and defensive midfielder. Against teams defending in a deep block, his physical power and direct running could create openings that passing combinations sometimes failed to produce. He could also play behind the striker, carry the ball through midfield, or arrive late in the penalty area. That positional flexibility would have given Arteta several solutions within the same player. Arsenal therefore had more than casual interest. They had a tactical plan, a relationship with the player, and a belief that Rodgers was open to the project. But they did not have an agreement with Aston Villa. That distinction changed everything. Arsenal had Rodgers' attention, but attention is not ownership. They had built the relationship, but they had not completed the negotiation. And when a player is protected by a long-term contract, the selling club, not the interested club, controls the clock. Aston Villa were never passive observers in this story. They had taken a chance on Rodgers, developed him under Emery, and helped turn him into one of the most valuable young attackers in English football. He had become central to their sporting project, and his long-term contract gave Villa enormous leverage. They did not need to sell him cheaply. In fact, they did not need to sell him at all. That placed Villa in a powerful negotiating position. Their message was effectively simple: meet our valuation or the player stays. Reports suggested that Villa wanted a fee close to £120 million. That number was not simply designed to start a negotiation. It was designed to test the commitment of any club trying to take one of their most important players. Villa understood the market. Rodgers was young, English, versatile, and already proven in the Premier League. Those qualities made him expensive individually. Combined, they made him one of the most valuable profiles available. Arsenal were willing to invest heavily, but they were reportedly unwilling to meet the full valuation immediately. That hesitation was understandable. A fee approaching £120 million represents an enormous commitment, even for a club competing for the biggest trophies. Walking away from such a price would not automatically make Arsenal cheap or incompetent. Responsible recruitment requires discipline, and every club must decide where admiration ends and overpayment begins. However, Villa did not need to lower the price simply because Arsenal wanted the player. Arsenal believed the valuation could still be negotiated. Villa believed they could afford to wait. Chelsea saw an opportunity to end the conversation completely. Arsenal reportedly planned to make their formal move after Rodgers returned from the World Cup. From their perspective, the strategy may have appeared perfectly logical. Maintain communication with the player. Avoid rushing into Villa's valuation. Wait for the international tournament to finish. Approach the negotiation at the right moment and rely on the advantage created by months of groundwork. But that strategy left a dangerous gap. Arsenal had interest without an accepted offer. They had communication without contractual control. They had become confident about the player before securing an agreement with his club. That did not make their approach irrational. It made their position vulnerable. Transfers can change quickly because relationships with players offer limited protection. Until a selling club accepts an offer and the player commits to the move, another team can enter the race and change the conditions. Arsenal may have believed they still controlled the direction of the transfer because Rodgers knew about their interest. But Aston Villa controlled the player's contract, and Chelsea had the financial power to challenge Arsenal's position immediately. The mistake may not have been Arsenal's refusal to pay £117 million. Their real mistake may have been assuming that they would still have time to negotiate once another wealthy club became serious. Arsenal were evaluating the price. Chelsea were evaluating whether the opportunity would still exist tomorrow. And once Chelsea realized that neither Arsenal nor Aston Villa were bound by an agreement, they did not hesitate. Chelsea recognized three important things. First, Morgan Rodgers was available if Aston Villa's valuation was met. Second, Arsenal had not completed the deal. Third, waiting could allow Arsenal to recover their advantage. and close the transfer themselves. Chelsea, therefore, moved with speed. Instead of spending weeks testing Villa's position, they reportedly submitted an offer worth approximately £117 million. The size of the package removed much of the uncertainty around the negotiation. Villa no longer had a strong reason to wait for Arsenal, reduce their valuation, or invite a prolonged bidding process. Chelsea had effectively answered Villa's question: how badly do you want the player? Their offer provided the answer. Reports also suggested that Chelsea's manager spoke directly with Rodgers about his role in the team. That conversation would have been crucial. Meeting Villa's valuation could secure permission to proceed, but Chelsea still needed to convince Rodgers that their project represented the right next step. The difference between the two clubs was not simply financial, it was operational. Arsenal's approach was patient, calculated, and price-conscious. Chelsea's approach was aggressive, direct, and immediate. Chelsea did not persuade Aston Villa to lower the price. They removed Villa's reason to continue negotiating. That was the moment the race changed. The hijack began when Chelsea realized Arsenal was still waiting.
It is important not to describe Rodgers as an object being stolen from one club by another. He was a player, making one of the most important decisions of his career. From the outside, Arsenal appeared to offer several major attractions. They had Champions League football, an established, title-challenging team, and a coach who had reportedly communicated his admiration directly. Aston Villa could offer continuity, an important role, and the environment in which Rodgers had developed into an elite player. Chelsea, however, could offer certainty. They acted immediately, while Arsenal was still preparing their formal move. That speed may have made their interest feel more concrete. A direct conversation with the manager could also have helped Rodgers understand exactly how he would be used and how central he would become to the project. The size of the reported transfer fee also carried emotional weight. A £117 million commitment sends an unmistakable message. Chelsea were not presenting Rodgers as another promising player who might eventually earn a place in the team. They were presenting him as a central investment. There was also personal familiarity. Rodgers already had a relationship with Cole Palmer from their time together in Manchester City's academy and the England setup. That connection may have made Chelsea feel less unfamiliar, although there is no reason to treat it as the decisive factor. We cannot know every detail of Rodgers' private reasoning unless he explains it himself. But Chelsea's actions created a powerful impression. From the outside, they made Rodgers look like an urgent priority. Arsenal still appeared to be treating him as an important possibility.
Chelsea are not simply buying another left-winger. Rodgers is most dangerous when he begins left of center and then attacks the spaces inside. He wants to receive the ball facing forward, carry it through pressure, and force defenders to make difficult decisions. When Rodgers drives toward goal, a defender must either step forward and leave space behind, or retreat and allow him to continue advancing. That ability to commit opponents makes him especially valuable against organized defensive structures. Chelsea have often relied heavily on combinations and individual creativity to break through compact teams. Rodgers offers a different solution. He can progress the ball without depending entirely on a passing sequence. Sometimes he can simply carry it through the area an opponent is trying to protect. His potential relationship with Cole Palmer is particularly intriguing. Palmer is a player who can slow a moment down. He manipulates defenders, waits for movement, and finds the decisive pass. Rodgers often does the opposite. He accelerates the moment. He attacks open space with power and turns hesitation into danger. In theory, Palmer could create the spaces that Rodgers attacks. Rodgers could also reduce Chelsea's dependence on Palmer by providing another source of progression, goals and attacking responsibility. But there are legitimate questions. Will Rodgers and Palmer complement each other, or will both players want to operate in similar central areas? Will Rodgers begin on the left, play behind the striker, or move between the two roles? How much freedom will the system give him? And can any 23-year-old immediately justify a British record transfer fee? Chelsea may have won the race for Rodgers, but winning the race does not automatically mean winning the transfer.
This is where the story becomes more complicated. Arsenal can reasonably argue that £117 million was excessive. Every club has a valuation, and responsible recruitment means refusing to abandon that valuation simply because a rival appears. Walking away from an inflated deal can be a sign of strength. Arsenal have built a competitive team through careful planning, and one emotional decision should not destroy the financial structure behind that progress. If Arsenal believed Rodgers was worth significantly less than Villa demanded, refusing to pay the full fee may eventually look intelligent. But the criticism is not only about the money. Arsenal spent months positioning Rodgers as their leading attacking target. They invested time in establishing contact, evaluating his fit, and understanding the conditions of the transfer. Yet, when Chelsea became serious, that entire pursuit offered them almost no protection. Both arguments can therefore be true. Arsenal may have made a sensible financial decision. They may also have handled the timing poorly. Perhaps they avoided an outrageous fee, or perhaps they lost an elite player because they waited for a version of the deal that Aston Villa never needed to offer. Chelsea may have paid too much. Arsenal may have valued Rodgers correctly. But only one club finished the week with the player both of them wanted.
Arsenal had the longer pursuit. They had Champions League football, contact with the player, and an established project built to challenge for the biggest trophies. Aston Villa had the contract, the player, and the power to reject every offer below their valuation. Chelsea had urgency. They accepted Villa's conditions, presented Rodgers with a direct plan, and transformed months of Arsenal interest into a Chelsea agreement in approximately 3 days. Chelsea did not hijack Morgan Rodgers by discovering something Arsenal had missed. They hijacked the deal by acting on what Arsenal already knew, faster, more decisively, and with £117 million on the table. Arsenal trusted the strength of their relationship. Aston Villa trusted the strength of their position. Chelsea trusted the power of certainty. That is how modern transfer hijacks happen. Not through secrecy, through certainty. 2 years from now, which decision will look smarter? Chelsea paying £117 million for Morgan Rodgers, or Arsenal refusing to? Tell us where you stand and subscribe to Football Power Files for the stories behind football's biggest power moves.